How's the feedback on my end?
You're fine.
Okay.
I just started the recording, and we are live. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Module 5 conference call. Got a lot of great content that is going to be uploaded today. I can tell you that it's been a great week as an investor and a tough week as a coach, because on Monday I ended up getting 3 contracts in and a 4th on Tuesday. So what I decided to do was go ahead and scrap my plans for what I was going to do on Module 5. And what I've done is I've been packaging these deals up to promote them and recording my screen as I'm doing it. So as I looked at it, I figured one of the best ways to teach you guys would be for you to actually watch me do it live. So I've done that. I've got them all recorded, and I haven't been in the office since Wednesday because the air conditioner on my truck went out. So I have been hanging out at home where my internet connection is no bueno. So I'm going to the office here right after this call, and we'll be getting it uploaded this afternoon. So Module 5, packaging and promoting your deal. Okay. The POP, the property overview packet, will be uploaded this afternoon, and it's a one-page PDF Adobe template that gives you all of the different categories and different things that an investor may want, and it's all in a format where you can simply just, for lack of a better phrase, fill in the blank. The POP makes it easy for you to assign the property to another investor because you provide a complete, comprehensive picture of that property and what it is for the investor. It addresses many of the issues the investor wants to know. So what all is it? It's a video. You're going to upload to YouTube and provide a link on your POP of the video of the exterior of the house, the neighborhood, and the interior of the home. And this is where your acting skills come into play, because you want to talk during these videos. You don't want to just point the video camera at something and expect people to understand what it is that you either think they should see, or you just don't want them to sit there with all they can hear is you panting in the 100-degree heat. You want to make a video pointing out positives, pointing out any repairs, and make that video to where it's very informative.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
Can you, as far as the video, is there any way we can poll the group and see how many have actually, have a video camera or have videotaped the house? I mean, one homework assignment is, videotape, walk around a neighbor's house or a vacant house in your neighborhood, and just so you can get, the idea and walk through the motions of shooting video and then uploading that to YouTube. How long does that take you? Because I think the more practice you have at that, and you can actually see how your video, because you're holding the camera, but I think when you watch your own video, you can critique yourself on, man, I am all over the place. So I'd like to know how many people have shot a video and uploaded it to YouTube, and are you familiar with that? Because that's an important video, is a pretty important part of your POP.
It is. So, guys, let's see. We're going to do a poll. Let's see. Have you videoed a house before and uploaded to YouTube?
And I think, we're going to get into this, but just kind of as an overview of Module 5 is these videos need to be less, the shorter the better. You want to be as comprehensive as possible, but I would try to limit these videos to 5 minutes, because whenever you guys submit, or whenever students submit a deal to me, and as an investor, and they've got an 18-minute video, I'm like, I really don't have time to watch an 18-minute video. 5-minute video, I'll take the time because I'm interested in the property. I mean, at least the numbers engage me enough, Tim, where I'm interested, and I'll watch a 5-minute, video of the house. But if I see that it's 18 minutes, I'm like, I'm probably not. I'll probably watch the first 5 and then I'm out. So keep that in mind and keep your video short and sweet if you can. And just give them a brief overview of the inside and the out. That's the big thing. And, I shot one of my students, Tim, bought a tax lien house over in Garland.
Yeah.
And, he's out of town, so I went over there and shot the video because the house has been vacant for 6 years. So needless to say, but, I went over there with my iPhone, shot it, and loaded it up to YouTube, and it was a great dissertation, and we're kind of going over what we're going to do with the property and how much we're going to spend. But, in 3 minutes, he got the idea in a 3-minute video, and that's really what I want to make sure all of these people understand is don't keep it simple, but have these systems in place.
Exactly. You all haven't voted on the poll yet. Go ahead. You're looking at the poll. Go ahead and click yes or no. I need to get to 100%. Only 2/3 of you have voted. All right, we're at 83%. Need a couple more. I don't get to see your specific answer. It just tells me a percentage of the group that has and hasn't. So if you're on this call, I need you to click yes or no. Okay, 17% of you. Come on, we need 17% more. Okay, well right now we're standing 17% of the people on this call don't understand how to click yes or no. That's not part of this module. But I'll tell you that of the 83% that answered, 80% say they've never videoed a house and uploaded it to YouTube. So yeah, guys, you definitely need to practice. You need to go out and practice recording a house with an iPhone, with a flip camera, with an Android phone, because you'll see once you upload it to YouTube, you may think that you recorded a great video, and then once you upload it to YouTube, you're like, oh, wow, that is not that good. And it's one of those things that you just got to focus on. And I'll get Brian to upload the video that George and I did during the Flip That Contract launch of where we walked through a property, and George gave a lot of good hints and tips on where to hold the camera, how to walk through the room, etc. So Brian, I know you're listening. Just please, if you could, just take that video and upload it. Brian has a question real quick. He hears about some wholesalers that pad the pop. Yet, if you're basing your figures on what someone else, the contractor's telling you, how do you know what the proper ARV should be for a house you're wholesaling? Brian, as you and I have learned with you being out in the field with me, comps are a subjective thing. For instance, one of the houses that you guys are going to see a module on, it's a house out in Creek Crossing in Mesquite. Jim Rostein said he videoed one yesterday, but he thought it sucked, so he didn't upload it to YouTube. Well, at least you're honest, Jim. But, you go ahead and practice that process of uploading it to YouTube as well. If you've got a phone like an iPhone or one of the newer Androids, learn how to hook it up on the Wi-Fi when you walk back into the house, and it makes the upload process fairly simple. What I was saying is you're going to see, Brian, on this house on Walden, that when I purchased the house and as I was preparing my marketing, the highest ARV after repaired value that I felt comfortable with was advertising it was 107. Well, I already sold the house to a client this week, and the client's lender and who is also an appraiser appraised the house at 115. So I'm of the school of thought, Brian, I always try to be as conservative as possible because I want to have a reputation of someone that puts out good numbers, but you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and end up being so conservative that you make it sound like a bad deal. But again, you'll hear my whole thought process. That's about a 45-minute video of me running comps and all that. Guys, you're going to need on the pop, you got to put your contract, current terms and conditions. You got to let the investor know if it's a sub-2 or if it's an all cash and what your terms, et cetera, are. If it's a sub-2, you need to make sure that you talk about outstanding liens, mortgage balance. You're going to need to have the title report with attached to your pop. You'll need to just go ahead and bullet out the annual property taxes, estimated ARV. You want to provide active, sold, and leased comps for the past 6 to 8 months. Monthly debts, mortgages, HOAs, anything that encumbers the property. Average estimated repairs, $10 to $20 per square foot. We're actually going to re-upload a new module on the SOS where we go over that again, and that will be provided. That will be re-uploaded, but it's going to be uploaded into Module 3. So you guys will see that over the weekend. Number of bedrooms, baths, a clue report. If you've got an insurance agent, they can get you a, what is that? It's comprehensive loss underwriting evaluation. Is that it, George? The clue?
Yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of comprehensive thing, yeah. But it's basically just to see what kind of claims have been made or insurance claims that have been paid on the property. Now, and again, these are all the things. Do you have to have that, Tim? No. But I have had a couple deals blow up on me when, right before we were trying to close, the end buyer said, hey, my insurance agent says that there was a $25,000 water claim and they're not going to be able to insure it unless they get X. And I'm like, I didn't even know. And so I go back to the seller and like, hey, did you file a $25,000 water claim, and you need to disclose that to me. So anyway,
guys, you're going to notice in these videos I'm uploading that I use the PDF 995 a lot to print to PDF, and if you haven't watched that module that George did on that, you need to.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is you want to load all this stuff. Once you have all these papers and documents, I guess, printed out or on your screen, what I would suggest, and that's what the video talked about, is you've got the appraisal district, right? Well, go ahead and send that to your printer, but instead of sending it directly to your print driver, you're sending it to the PDF driver. Yeah. Which will turn anything on your anything you want to print into a PDF. Yeah, and then now you have go ahead.
Yeah, and you guys are going to see that what I did is I just created a folder on my desktop, and everything I was printing, I printed into a PDF into that folder, and then I put it on my desktop because it was just easier. But then when I'm done with it, done printing everything to it, I go ahead and move it to another folder where I can organize it, and we'll go about that. So I just launched a poll. It says, do you have the ability to pull comps yet? 67% have voted. 83% have voted. Come on, anybody else? I need to know. Okay, we can't get past that 83% mark for some reason.
I think there might be someone who's having a hard time with knowing where this survey button is,
Well,
okay.
There's only 80% of you have said that yes, you have the ability. 20% have said no. Joe's asking if you and I are in the 17%. No, Joe, we're not. But that's a good question because I already had to check. So if you don't have the ability to pull comps and you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you need to watch the module that I created on the Property Analyzer Pro, and then you need to call in and get your free trial on the Property Analyzer Pro, and you need to learn how to use it. I was talking with a couple of the VIPs this week, and we were joking about how when they first started trying to use it, it seemed impossible. But then after a week of just getting in there and playing with it, now they're real comfortable with locating a property, pulling comps, getting the comp report, etc. You guys need to, if you don't have MLS, or you need to get in the Property Analyzer Pro or Investway. If you're up in New Jersey, Bill, I'd like to know what you found out with regards to local people up there that provide it. But you got to have comps if you're going to do this business. I mean, it's just a requirement. So then from the pop, I mean, I just want to stress that video is where it's at. You've got to shoot video. I have investors that I've sold enough houses to that they will give me a commitment based off my videos, subject to them getting inside and just looking at it one more time. And I'm just telling you. The other thing video will do is it'll weed out phone calls of people that are going to end up not being interested in the neighborhood or the style of house or the amount of repairs it needs. So I mean, you just trust me. You've got to shoot video, and you've got to take your time doing it and learn how to do it the right way. Then you got to email it to your investors. I mean, you need to already, you guys should all have an email list software, and you should have a cash buyers list of at least 2 people in it. And the 2 people I'm talking about are George Roddy Jr. and Tim Heritage. I mean, there are 2 cash buyers that if you are operating in the DFW area, we should be on your email list, because we both actively buy houses. And, some people had a guy fight with me the other day and said, well, Tim, you're just a wholesaler. Well, no, I'm not. I actively rehab houses, and I actively purchase and keep as rentals. So you need to put me and George on your investor list. You need to have MailChimp, Aweber, whatever, constant contact, eye contact. We've given you a whole host of different options there. MailChimp is the easiest because it's free, up to 2,000 contacts. And you need to start building your list. And here's the thing about building your list, guys. I want you to get on Facebook, and there's 25 people in the FlipThatContract group. Add them onto your cash buyer list. Get onto some of these groups, the DFW Investors Facebook group, the DFW Real Estate Investors Facebook group, the DFW House Hub Facebook group, and start capturing people's emails. When they make a comment in these groups, it gives you their email address, and when you get that email, don't just delete it. Get their email address and plug them into your private email list. You need to join. You need to practice. You need to send some test emails out. Get used to uploading pictures into the template in the form, and attaching your pop and putting the links to the box.net folder with your pop in it. And just get on other wholesalers' lists too, and look at how they send out their emails. That way you can, you copy what other people do. If you're not on my investor list, you want to get on it, and it's easy to do. We're going to talk about that in a second. And the whole thing about finding an end buyer is mastering the concept of supply and demand. And, you know, the concept of supply and demand is a very simple one. If you've got a good deal, money will come to your deal. If you don't have a good deal, you'll know real quick that you don't have a good deal. You know, you got to, your job as the wholesaler is to get your investor, make sure, one, they're committed, and two, that they have the capability of following through with what they're telling you they're going to do. It does you no good to accept an assignment from someone that isn't going to be able to follow through with what they sign. Case in point, the house on Ashcrest, the Cop House down in Southwest Dallas that I closed and got funded out this Monday. You know, I had this one guy that he was calling me, and he wasn't going to put up non-refundable earnest money, and he was just going to take a cashier's check to the title company. He didn't even need to sign the assignment. And I mean, you got to understand that when you've got a good deal, you're in control. And don't let a bully push you around and get you to take less or to compromise on your process. You don't necessarily need to run newspaper ads to start. You need to you focus on some of these other items. You guys hang on a second. My buy call line is going off.
Hey, can you hear me?
This Tim?
Guys, can you hear me? I think you can. Well, I can't see if you can hear me or not, but I guess hopefully you guys can hear me. What I would say is that you dictate the terms. You're the one that's in control, and stand your ground. Here's a general rule of thumb. I would say that if you have 5 people that you bring this deal to, 5 to 8 people that you qualified and they said they have an interest and they don't bite, you probably have you're asking too much. I would say, let's just round it up to 8 people. If you show this property to 8 people and they don't buy it, you need to back out of the deal, or you need to reduce the price or whatever, because what I've found is when I have a good deal, it usually doesn't last too long. When it's a marginal deal, it usually takes me about 5 to 8 people for me to get it to. And if I show it to 8 people and none of them committed or given me a check for earnest or for a non-refundable deposit, then I'm probably not going to sell this property in 10 days to 2 weeks. So I need to reevaluate and reanalyze this deal and see if I can reduce and make this deal more attractive. So, the market's never wrong. It just disagrees with us, and you're going to have that where you think it should sell and it should fly off the shelf. And as far as a deal of the century, and it doesn't. That's just part of the business. I mean, we've all been in that situation, or when you're in this business long enough, you're going to have that where you get surprised, where you think houses, I'm going to have a tough time wholesaling this thing, and you don't, and then vice versa. So all you can do is put your best foot forward. My philosophy is I'll just put my best foot forward and leave it, and not get too greedy. If there's a way for me to make, we'd all like to make $10,000 a flip, but it's just not going to happen. So the market's going to tell you, where. But another thing, Tim, is, always if you came to me, Tim, on Merrill or any other deal, and I'd say, it's close, I could probably pay 160 or I could probably pay 150, and you're asking 160. At least you need to you can write that down, because maybe that only nets you $1,500, Tim. But if you really don't want to add another property to your portfolio, then you can always use that as a backup. So the one thing I would do is if I have a deal, I'd say, well, what will you pay? What's the price that you would pay? Not that I'm going to accept it, but I'd just like to know.
Well,
what are your thoughts on that, Tim?
I completely agree with you. And in one of the next slides, we're going to go over that about, you know, if I'm asking 160 and he says 150, I'm not going to say, I'm going to back up and say, okay, well, George, tell me about your 150. How does that work with you? And I'm going to make sure that I understand your process. You know, are you paying cash? Are you getting a loan? Is it a hard money deal? Because now if I underwrite you and say, look, you know, I'm really going to consider your 150, I need to see your proof of funds. And if you send me a bank account statement that says you've got $400,000 in a bank account and that bank account's titled under a certain limited partnership that you said you were going to buy it in, you know, then I know I've got a hot buyer that if I need to do a fallback, I'm probably going to be able to hook him at 150 and he's going to be able to close quick. But at the same time, if George is telling me 150, and then when I look at it, he's going to have to get a hard money loan and there's going to be inspections. You just got to know that, because you can't fall back on that kind of buyer with 3 days left till closing, because they need 10 days. So it's that's where the logistical planning comes into play. We're going to talk about that here in just a sec. Real estate investment clubs and groups, we'll talk to you about that next. Attend courthouse auctions. Courthouse auctions and George Roddy's How to Buy Foreclosures class that he does in Addison is a great way to find cash buyers. Why? Because people know to go to the courthouse, they got to be able to take cash with them. So it's a great group of people that you can get to know, and you can really leverage that. I mean, they're motivated buyers. They want to buy houses. I mean, if they didn't, they wouldn't spend all day on the first Tuesday of the month down at the courthouse. Internet forums, I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. And then, of course, like I just said, call the FTC crew. You know, put Tim and George on your list and these other students. I mean, there's a lot of students in FTC that have the ability to close on property, and it's in their model to do so. They're like me. They're not only a wholesaler. They're also a rehabber and or also a landlord. So you need to, don't ever write someone off. And then you got write up the offer. You've got the assignment module in module 4, where I explain the assignment and how the buyer closes before you have to. You don't need to get it notarized. Always get non-refundable earnest money. I don't care how much money someone has. I don't care what their status is. Always, always, always get a non-refundable deposit. And I mean that and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Always. Do not take your property off the market. And Jason, who has been helping me wholesale some houses recently, on Sunday, last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, he called me and said, hey, I got this lady. I just emailed you the assignment. I want you to look over it and make sure it's right. We're meeting tomorrow. And I told him, I said, look, man, it looks good, but do not take it off the market. Well, he went down and showed it again Sunday night, even though he thought he already had it sold. Well, lo and behold, the next morning, the original person got cold feet, backed out of the deal because money hadn't changed hands yet. And had he not shown it to that other guy, he wouldn't have been in a negotiating stance. And the bottom line is, the only other offer we had at that time was for 42. Well, this other guy that Jason went and showed it to on Sunday night paid 45. So we made $3,000 more, and we got non-refundable. And we just told it, both the 42 and the 45 offer. We sent them the assignment at full price. Told the guy that was at 42, hey, you bring me the signed assignment and $1,000, we'll talk. If you don't want to pay the 45, you need to make a pin change, bring it to me with your deposit, and we'll talk. He didn't want to put up a deposit, said he'd just take a cashier's check to the title company. Well, you know, I drive the bus on this. It's my game, not his. Lo and behold, the other guy, he was more than happy to bring me the sign assignment for $45 and $1,000 in money orders. So the point is, be a control freak in wholesale real estate. Control the property up front by tying it up with a contract, and then control the entire process of the assignment. Okay, so as part of Module 5, things I need you to do right now, things that I need you to be prepared to do. You better have an email list. Right now, if you're sitting here listening to this and you don't have a MailChimp account or some sort of an account, the first thing you do after we get off this call is you create a MailChimp account, you create a welcome email, and you add me and George in your cash buyer list. First and foremost, that's what you need to do. I ought to start getting welcome to my cash buyer list, my exclusive Dallas-Fort Worth real estate investor list. I ought to get a bunch of emails like that. Next, go ahead and establish a Craigslist account. When you set up a Craigslist account, it just makes it easier to post to Craigslist. You don't have to go through all the verification stuff. I want you all to set up a Craigslist account, and just right now, do a Craigslist account and put an ad out there, real estate wanted, cash for houses, and specify your backyard. Everybody do that today, and put your Google Voice phone number on there. If you don't have a Google, or if you don't have a buy call phone number, guess what? You need to back up and do that too. Everyone needs to have a Box.net account. I'm going to upload all these modules this afternoon. You guys are going to watch them over the weekend. I'm going to give you a task next week. I'm going to have you all market a deal to me that I'm going to give you the address and the asking price, and I'm going to give you the pictures, and then you're going to have to upload it to Box.net, put it into a template, and email blast it out. And it's going to be a live deal. And so if you're able to capture some, I'm going to make a deal with you. If you're able to capture some other email addresses through some of these other mediums, and you're able to bring me a buyer on this other live deal, I'm going to pay you $500. So I mean, that's your incentive right here. I need you to go to dfwinvestors.com.
How do I make 500?
And George,
how do I make the $500, Tim?
Are you serious, George? On Tuesday, I'm going to send everyone an address and pictures, and I want everyone to, they're going to have to pull tax rolls and comps and do a write-up. I'm going to give them a video and the pictures, and they're going to need to upload everything to Box.net, and then send out an email blast to their cash buyer list about this house. I'm going to give them the price and the rehab and the pictures and the video and my write-up, and then they're going to need to change it, and they're going to practice marketing to their cash buyer list.
Gotcha.
And it's a live deal, so get ready. And if you're able to bring me a buyer that I hadn't already talked to, hey, I'm gonna pay you $500 commission. If you're in the DFW area, I need you to go to dfwinvestors.com and join. It's a free website. There's a wholesale deals catalog. There's about 10 deals a week posted there. One, you need to be a member of that website so that you get these email notifications so you see how other wholesalers market their deals. Two, when you do that, you'll now be on my investor list. And, there's a lot of other, there's over 2,000 pages of content on there that you can browse through and watch and listen and learn. You need to make sure you have a YouTube channel today. If you don't already have a YouTube channel, I don't know what you're waiting on. You need to have a digital camera and a video camera. And you can't, although there is software out there where you can just record a video and then you can snap pictures off the video, don't do that. It makes it more complicated. Take your phone, take your camera, whatever you got, take your video camera, shoot a separate video, then go back through and take pictures. I want you to get some manila folders, because what I do, and this works very well for me, is as I'm marketing a deal, I keep the tax rolls, comps, and any other information that I have on the property with me in a manila folder. And this is a disposable folder. They're cheap. Well, when George Roddy calls me, I write his name down on the outside of that manila folder or on the inside or wherever I have space. I write his name, his phone number, his email. George may have found my listing on Craigslist or somewhere else, and he may not be on my list, but I'm going to make sure that he's on my list from now on. But number two, when I haven't heard back, George hadn't made me an offer the next day, I'm going to give George a call. I'm going to say, hey, George, showed you that house yesterday. What can I do? Well, are you interested or not? I'm going to write down people's offers. If they ballpark me, I'm going to write down the ballpark. I'm going to make notes about the investors, real buyer, seems like a flake, whatever the case is, and you're going to write it down. Guys, you need to have a buyer squeeze page. That buyer squeeze page, you need to start dripping it out to Facebook, into these groups, and you need to put little links and postings that say, hey, join my cash buyers list. Business cards. If you don't have business cards, come on, they're free. Get business cards. You need to have a little pocket notebook. And those of you that are coming to the VIP ride-along, 2-day bus trip tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday, remind me to show you my little pocket notebook that I carry around with me. I put everything in it, and I always keep it. And after I'm done with one, I label the outside on the dates that I used it, and I get another one. It's just a little black leather. It looks like a little pocket Bible, but it's actually just blank note, and I keep notes in there diligently because I talk to so many people, and you're going to too. So when you go to the Roddy Roundup, when you go to another investor club and you're talking to someone, instead of just sitting there nodding your head like you're going to remember, pull it out and take notes. Meetup.com. If you don't have a Meetup.com account, you really need to get one, and I'm not saying that so that you can go network and attend all these stupid events. What I'm talking about is a lot of these groups like the Roddy Roundup, like the Texas Real Estate Investors Circle, like Dennis Henson's group area, like Greg Bell's group, they show you who the members are. Well, guess what? A lot of times these members will send emails through the list function, and it displays their email address and their name when they do that. You need to be diligent about taking that and siphoning. When you get that email, you capture their emails off of that, and you plug it into your cash buyers list. And folks, I'm telling you, this stuff works because the guy Larry Mendoza that I wholesaled the Ashcrest house to made 10 grand this week, got the check on Monday. Larry Mendoza was not on my list until 2 weeks ago when Jason got his name and email address off the Texas Real Estate Investors Circle meetup group email list. I'm telling you, this stuff works. There are active people out there. There's more money out there than you could find houses for. And then the last thing you need is a cell phone. And I know that's kind of funny. I mean, maybe some of you are laughing right now, but you gotta have a cell phone. And because one of the things we're going to teach you this weekend is when you're driving around and you see a bandit sign, you need to call that bandit sign and say, hey, you buy houses? I've got a house to sell. Oh, no, I don't buy from wholesalers. Okay, great. Well, tell me about what you're selling and where. I mean, you got to learn how to pick up the phone and just cold call people that are actively promoting themselves in your backyard. One, get to know your competition, but two, build your network of cash buyers. George, you got anything else to add on all that?
Yeah, I think that you should, it's always be selling. I mean, you've heard that adage, but it should always be networking. I mean, you can't have a big enough database. People are going to come, people are going to go, but I think, using dfwinvestors.com, you've got the portal where you need to set that up account. Why wouldn't you? Roddy.com, I don't have a portal where you can distribute and touch my database, but you need to attend the functions. You're always networking. You're always trying to figure out, these bandit signs. If they're a true investor, I would say they don't care how the lead comes to them, and that's, if somebody tries to, if you're a true investor, I think you don't care how it comes to you as long as the numbers are right. So, you just need to find the pretenders and the players, the people with cash that are active. And I think the big thing is find out what, you said this a long time ago, Tim, is find out what they want. Just like you said, if this deal doesn't work for you, George, what does? And Tim, that I am looking for light and bright. I don't like dark and choppy. That's just me. And so what I like, And when you get something, you're going to think of me, and you're going to think of a lot of people. But bottom line is, and the biggest thing is, if this deal doesn't work out, how do you work? I mean, what do you need to feel comfortable? Do you need 5 days? You know, if I call you and say you need to close in 24 hours, you're like, really? So you need to know your clients, and the more you can learn the intricacies and the idiosyncrasies of the end buyer, I think the more profits you'll make, the more deals you'll do, and that takes time. But it all starts with having this list of what you need to have. If you don't have your back office, you know, if you don't have your package put together correctly, or then you're gonna miss out on some opportunities, because it only takes one buyer, as we all know. It only takes one to cash, you know, for us to cash checks. So I think if you do what we're asking you to do by packaging it up, having the videos, you know, having the appraisal district information, having a summary, and I just emailed you, Tim, that POP form, having that, and having the comps, not just the actives or solds, but throw in lease comps, because it can't hurt, and loading that onto box.net, all of that information on box.net, where it's easily accessible, and having the video, you're going to do deals. You know, like Tim said, there's a lot of investors that are sitting on the sidelines with cash, and so we just have to, I guess, paint the picture and tell the story, you know. And if the book has a, you know, if it looks good from the cover, they're going to open up the book and want to read it, so to speak, as a bad analogy. But anyway.
Hey guys, if you're on this call, one last thing before we start doing Q&A is if you the VIP students, I need to make sure that you went to ftcbustrip.eventbrite.com and clicked here VIP student for your free ticket on the bus trip tomorrow and Sunday. If you're bringing a guest, you need to go ahead and pay the $100 here. That will that pays for your guest for both days and their lunch both days. If you're an all-access student, you have the option to pay $150 and join us. This 6 tickets is wrong. There was a problem with the interface yesterday. There are actually 3 seats left at this time. So if you're an all-access student, you want to spend $150 or $75 a day to hop on the bus with us Saturday and Sunday. We're taking off out of George's office. We're all meeting there about 9 a.m. tomorrow. You can come for $150, including your lunch, and that's for both days. And that's all that's on there right now. And it's going to be a great 2 days. I'll tell you guys, dress casual, please. Those of you VIP students, I mean, do not. I mean, it's going to be 100-something degrees. I'm wearing shorts.
Wow.
You know, George will probably wear slacks or something, but, you know, he's a Roddy. He's always, you know, always looking good. Brian asked if it was Saturday and Sunday or Saturday and Monday. No, the bus trip is Saturday and Sunday. So dress comfortable, bring a lot of water. I mean, drink a lot of water the day before. We'll bring some water. There's a cooler on the bus. So we'll have water with us. We're going to feed you lunch on Saturday before we hop on the bus. That'll be about 11:30. And then on, it says Monday on here. Monday, September 19th. That's interesting. Yeah, Brian, thanks for that correction. That is completely wrong.
Yeah, that was one of those start dates and end dates. That happens to me all the time.
No, the event is this Saturday and Sunday. And guys, let's see. The thing about this event is I'm trying to get. I got to fix that. That's kind of bad that it has the complete wrong date on there. Sorry, guys, I had to fix that. Good catch, Brian. So anyway, enough about that event. On Sunday, what I was going to tell you is on Sunday, if you're coming to the event, I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, you need to eat a good big breakfast, because what we're going to do Sunday is we're actually going to be out on the bus from about 10 to 2, and then when we come back at 2 o'clock, we're going to feed you at 2 when we get back to the office. So it's going to be a late lunch, so you need to, you need to eat a big breakfast on Sunday. It's one of those things logistically, it's always best to get done and spend the last couple hours answering questions back at the office. All right, so George, you got anything else before we open for Q&A?
Are we going to give them any deals, anything to work on before, or no?
No.
Do that from 10 or 9 to 11 tomorrow morning.
I had thought about that, but what I figured is I'm just going to bring the tax rolls and comps that we have, that I already have for these properties that we're going to see.
Okay.
That's
it then.
David asked what time it ends on Sunday. David, that's one of the reasons we're getting back at 2. There's some people that got to cut out early. So when we get there back at 2, it's probably going to wrap up about 5. But, we understand if someone needs to take off at, 2:30 or 3 or whatever. And if you've got a conflict, just let me know, because we will have a trail car following the bus around in case someone needs to leave early or something like that. Any other questions about that? George, anything else you got to say? Questions and answer time.
No. I mean, I think you guys, you want to learn how to do this and evaluate real estate and walk through the actual entire process. That's what, to a degree, besides cashing a check, we're going to cover tomorrow. So I think a lot of people have questions and concerns and reservations about, evaluating and what do I say and how do I make sure that I can walk this property and make some assessments. So we're going to do that tomorrow. It's all about writing offers and evaluating the different products or the different types of properties out there. So whether it's an REO or an individual, there's certain key things that you have to look for and plug in, and you should have a level of confidence before you knock on the door of what you're going to say and what the numbers should be.
And George brings up a good point. You guys listening to this call and are going to play it later, you need to understand that at this point you should not be feeling as if you can go out and do this on your own. The program is not designed that way. Right now, you should be soaking up all the data points. And in next week's module and in the week 7 wrap-up, we're going to help you tie it all together. Right now, you need to focus on learning the data and the processes that we're teaching you. And in next week and the week after, we're going to help you tie it all together. I mean, it's very important to know that if you're feeling lost or concerned or confused, overwhelmed.
I've heard that a couple times. I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, all right, but if you do this in chunks, there's no way you can get all this in 6 weeks. I mean, it would be, I would be very surprised. We would be very surprised if this thing clicked. That's why I love it when I see take a class and become an expert. There's no way. There is. You have to let these things mature, and everyone has different ways of learning. Before the light bulb clicks, before you internalize it. I mean, and so that's why we want to give you these things in different chunks. And some might, some of it's elementary. We get it, but that's why, it's setting up your back office, and then it's lead generation. I mean, we need to, because I always want to go back and just say, what module do we really need to focus on but we don't expect for you to have it all right now. That's why we're here to answer questions after the program, because we need to tie it all together. But we really feel like if we didn't break it up, there's no way to go back and really train yourself or come back and figure out at what point do we need to work on with you.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys one more thing too. The reason that I decided not to give you homework for the bus trip is you VIPs, the day, since I went ahead and decided to give all of you the full in the day in the field with Tim, you need to understand that what's going to happen is you guys, when you go out in the field with me, the night before, I'm going to email you 2 or 3 or 4 addresses, and part of your job with me that day is going to be to show up with an appointment checklist and a field analysis worksheet and the tax rolls and your comps that you pulled. And Brian Farmer, when you meet him tomorrow, you talk to him, because he'll tell you how dadgum hard it was whenever he was preparing for last Saturday. But he'll also tell you that he learned a whole heck of a lot by having to do it for real. So that's the purpose of the exercise. I'm not putting my work off on you, and I'm not trying to get you to feel overwhelmed. It's just you've got to do it. So I mean, you need to start now. You need to drive, and you need to get in property, your MLS software, and pull comps on your own house, the house you live in. See what it's worth.
Do a title search on your own house.
Right.
Do a title search on your neighbors. Do a market analysis on one of your relatives or neighbors. Put yourself in a position by doing title searches in property and videotaping the property and running the market analysis on your neighbors or a relative. Somebody that lives, like my aunt, lives in Fairview, or my sister lives in, Duncanville. Just put yourself in a position where this is a seller that wants to sell. Now, what are you going to do? What's step 1? What's step 2? What's step 3? They called you from a marketing piece. Let's pretend like they've called you, and you booked the appointment. Now what do? So practice on your neighbors and or relatives' homes, where you're practicing walking the property and evaluating the property and taking videos and shooting pictures and assessing the condition. Once you start thinking like an investor, Tim, do you ever look at a house that you walk in and don't see it a certain way?
Yeah.
If you came over to my house, you're going to see defects, aren't you?
Yeah, I always joke, and you guys will hear in some of the audio that I upload, I always joke that I don't like to go over to friends' houses anymore. Just because if there's a door out of plumb or a crack in a corner, my eye just is magnetized to whatever that defect or whatever it is I see. And it just is what it is.
But you start breathing this thing. I'm the same way. When I go over to friends and I see certain things, I'm like, that costs a lot of money, or that was done. That was a weekend job at Home Depot. They must have taken that class,
right?
At the how-to class at Home Depot,
right?
And I'm like, but it's funny. But most consumers don't see that. But it's just because you and I have been programmed now that we're trying to assess and estimate and conjure up what things cost and what true values are, and you guys will get that as well. So,
any other questions, guys? We're right up to the hour mark. Anybody? Sorry for the late notice on the call today. I won't rely on automation anymore. Anybody?
They all know it's 1 to 2.
Going once, going twice. I'm stopping the recording.